Ladies and gentlemen, World War III with Russia is upon us. Yes, I truly believe it. There are many people that believe it. The Pope has said that World War III has already started. Russia already has stated that this war that they are fighting in Ukraine is not against Ukraine simply, but against NATO as a whole. So they already believe they are fighting a war, that they are fighting a world war against NATO. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that we are getting ever closer. As you know, here in America, we get close to a federal election to get a new leader in office, or to try to get a new leader in office. I believe that World War III is on our doorstep. I don't think necessarily that it is here. However, we have been far too involved in Ukraine, especially here in America. NATO has been far too involved in Ukraine, and Ukraine's not a NATO country. This is the issue. This is the issue that many people like myself have been having with this conflict in Ukraine and in Eastern Europe, is because countries like Poland, countries like Germany, countries like Great Britain, they are obsessed, and obviously America as well, because we've sent them $160 billion of military equipment and just money in general. These NATO countries are obsessed with helping Ukraine. They're obsessed with putting their interests over what is good for the world. I can tell you right now, as the average American, I can tell you, I don't really want to risk nuclear annihilation of the human race over the Donbass region. For those of you who don't know what the Donbass is, that's exactly my point. The average American citizen could not point out the Donbass region on a map, even with all of this news about Ukraine being in the news over the last couple of years. Guys, this conflict in Ukraine is insane. And now, of course, Germany has gone and stepped in it. Yes, we got this. A leaked conversation exposed 4 high-ranking German officers discussing the supply of Taurus missiles and how to best hit the Crimean bridge. The recording, dated to February 19th, has been verified by German media, and German authorities are now trying to control the damage by locally censoring ex-users who share it. I want to go ahead and play this video for you, because just listen to the insanity. Listen to the insanity that these guys are willing to put on the world. Look at how much they're willing to risk in order to blow up a bridge. They're willing to risk nuclear war with Russia over a border conflict between Russia and Ukraine over the Donbass region. Let's listen.
Ich gerne nochmal schnell ergänzen wegen der Brücke, weil wir die uns
Because we
intensiv
took a look
angeguckt
at it,
haben. Und die Brücke
and the
ist
bridge is
leider
unfortunately like
aufgrund ihrer
an
Größe
airfield
wie ein
due to its
Flugplatz.
size.
Das heißt, es
In
kann
other
durchaus
words,
sein,
it
dass ich
may be
dafür
that
10
I
oder
need 10
20
or 20
Flugkörper
missiles
brauche.
for it. I mean, there you have it. I mean, first 15 seconds, they outright come out and say it. 10 to 20 missiles talking about the Crimean bridge. Let's continue. They're probably fully appreciated if it's where it opens up when he takes the
Ja, und
pillars.
selbst der Pfeiler, da machen wir unter Umständen nur ein Loch rein.
We might just
Und dann
make a
stehen wir
hole
da.
in it and then we're there.
Also, ich sag mal, um
In
eine
order to have
valide
a valid
Aussage zu
statement
haben,
about,
müssten wir es
we
wirklich
would
selber
really
mal
have to. I don't want to connect the bridge. I just pragmatic approach. What else do they want? How can they do it, and how quickly? Could I train them? Now, he said, could I train them? I believe personally that he's talking about Ukrainian soldiers, maybe Ukrainian fighter pilots. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know how you would deliver these Taurus missiles. But ultimately, from what I've seen, it looks like these Taurus missiles, they are long-range missiles, and they are delivered from an aircraft. Okay, so they are fired from an aircraft and sent out to hit their target. Okay, I don't know if they could be fired in some other way, but ultimately that is what I have seen. Now, of course, Great Britain, before this recording came out, Great Britain was pressuring Germany to send these Taurus missiles to Ukraine. And Germany was hemming and hawing, and they didn't really want to do it because it would be another escalation in this war, which Germany was right to be hesitant in doing that. Ultimately, Ukraine is not a NATO country. We have no business being this involved, but here we are. Let's continue.
Right thing, was bleibt ist, dass wir die
image centralized mission planning. We basically have to give them the SIM MOBI if they.
Targetdaten, die haben wir ja, aber das müsste man denen auch irgendwie zur Verfügung stellen.
When it comes to such small targets, then it has to be planned out more precisely than just on the record. When it comes to hardened targets, then it's fairly easy, especially if you have the exploit. Then it can fly at double-digit heights. That sounds pretty good in a nutshell. We all know that they want to take out the bridge. That's clear. So I believe in this situation. I don't speak German, okay? So I'm trying my best here. They're talking really fast. The subtitles are going fast. I'm trying to read as much as I can, get you guys as much information as I can. It sounds to me like they're talking about training Ukrainian soldiers, training Ukrainian fighter pilots, giving them the information that they need to be able to hit the target. But that kind of goes away whenever we get into this next portion where they start to talk about their own Air Force. Yes, Germany's own Air Force doing this action. We also know what that means in the end. Then the supply of this not only military strategic important, but also somewhat political good. Island is its centerpiece. It's not quite so fatal now that they more or less have their land bridge, but there's a fear if the direct link. Listen to this next part, okay? Link between the armed forces. He's talking about his own armed forces. And Ukraine goes there. And then there's always the question of whether you can basically pull off the trick of sending our people to the NBDA so that there's only a direct link between the NBDA and Ukraine. Then it's less bad than if the direct line of our Air Force is to them. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that Germany is planning to do this attack. I believe that Germany is planning to do this attack, and they got caught. I don't know who released this information. There was some speculation that British intelligence was mad at Germany because they didn't want to send the missiles, and so they were mad at Germany, and so they released this to the Russians. I don't know why British intelligence would do that. That doesn't really make sense to me, considering that Britain, Germany, and all these other NATO countries have pretty much been allied against Russia this whole time, especially Britain and Germany. They've been pretty adamant about their hatred for Russia. Guys, ultimately, what we have is a dangerous situation here. This is just further and further escalation. And it's starting to look like, well, maybe Russia has a little bit of a point. I'm not saying that they should have invaded Ukraine. I'm not saying that at all. I despise that decision, and I hope every day that this war will stop. You know, whatever has to happen to get these people to stop dying. You know, I think that it was an evil move by Putin to invade Ukraine. But ultimately, why on earth are these military leaders, why on earth are these political leaders so adamant about getting involved in this that they're willing to risk nuclear annihilation over the Donbass. It's like this guy said. They're sitting here talking about hitting this bridge in Crimea, this bridge that connects Crimea to the Russian mainland. He said it doesn't really matter. It's not going to matter in the long run. In the end, hitting this bridge, taking out this bridge is not going to matter because Russia already has their land bridge into Crimea through the Donbass, which is exactly what Putin stated that they wanted when the war started. So hitting this bridge will not matter, but it will be an attack from NATO on Russia, which will declare a direct war. So far, we've been in a proxy war. This would directly get NATO involved. This would directly cause a war between NATO and Russia. Now, obviously, we've had a proxy war. NATO's been involved. We all know this. It's no secret, okay, that NATO has been involved in Ukraine and has been helping Ukraine this entire time, which is, of course, why Russia sees this as a war between Russia and NATO, okay? And honestly, I don't blame them for looking at it that way. I mean, if you're having a dispute with one person and another person comes along and is helping them, okay, well now you're in a dispute with two people. Okay, like it's very obvious. It's not a secret. No one's trying to keep this secret. It's out there for everyone to see. And ultimately, countries like the United States, countries like Germany, countries like the UK, the people of these countries are suffering. $160 billion to Ukraine came from America. It's unacceptable. And of course, now the quote-unquote allies that we have in NATO are planning on hitting the Crimean bridge with their own air force, which would directly cause a war between Russia and NATO. Nuclear war over Donbass? Over Ukraine? Why? You want the nuclear annihilation of the human race over Ukraine. Like, I get it. If you're a Ukrainian person, if you live in Ukraine, I get it. It's your country. You want people to come and help you so that you can get your country. I get it. And that sucks. But ultimately, like for one, Ukraine is full of Nazis. I've talked about this in a previous video. I've pulled up news articles. I've pulled up direct quotes from their political officials. Their country's full of Nazis. Okay. Then you've got the fact that they're extremely corrupt. Then you've got the fact that they can't win, guys. They cannot win. And ultimately, Russia cannot win a war with NATO without using their nuclear weapons. So what are they going to do? They're going to use their nuclear weapons. There is no situation where this fight between NATO and Russia does not end in a nuclear exchange. There's no way it doesn't end that way. Because in order to even have a chance in a war with NATO, Russia would have to use those nuclear weapons. Guys, today is Super Tuesday here in the United States. Here in the United States. I could not give the slightest crap about Germany. I do not care. Okay? I don't care about the UK. I don't care about Poland. I don't care about the rest of NATO. I care about what America is doing. And ultimately, Donald Trump wants to stop all the wars. He wants to get us out of all these conflicts. He wants us to be able to bring our troops home and be safe here in America with our strong military. Walk softly and carry a big stick. Okay? This is the ideology of Donald Trump. Today is Super Tuesday. Guys, you got to go vote. You got to go vote. You got to get out there. You got to get the right people in office. You got to understand, voting is only the first part of fixing these issues in our country. fixing these issues in NATO. Donald Trump held NATO accountable. He did. He made them pay their fair share, and he kept them in check with all this garbage that they're doing. Biden, well, first of all, his brain doesn't work, so he's definitely not keeping anyone in check. But he's just been going along with all of this. Guys, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. We got to get these people out of office. Super Tuesday today. Go vote. Go make your voice heard. And go get the right people in office so that we can continue, or so that we can start the process of fixing these issues in our country. Fixing the issues in NATO, fixing the issues with the military-industrial complex where all they want is war, 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 so that they can fill their pockets and the people of the United States get screwed over. We got to go vote, man. You got to go vote. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I'll have another video coming for you guys on Thursday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button. Follow me on all the socials that's down in the description. Hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we put out new videos. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.